Welcome back, friend. Hopefully the zombies haven't given you too much trouble now that you've become a more formidable force since the last time I've seen you. As promised, this normal onion has knowledge to impart on you for defending your base, as well as some advanced techniques to utilize in your rebellion against the Undead Homeowners Association. Back with us today is Greg from Accounting. That's a nice fence you have there, Greg. What was once your lawn mowing boundary has the potential to become a lethal weapon against our former neighbors. There are two types of fences in the game: tall fences and short fences. Tall fences that are in the world by default are currently indestructible and serve as a great zombie-proof barrier. Short fences, on the other hand, aren't completely indestructible, as they'll crumble if there are too many zombies crawling over the fence at one time. However, this puts a zombo in a perfect position on the ground for you to instantly smash their brains in with your weapon of choice. If this sounds too good to be true, here's the fine print. If you happen to be too close to the fence, the zombies have a chance of lunging at your ankles. This will knock you back with a chance of being knocked on the ground as well. Here are a couple of methods around getting your ankles bitten that will help you effectively fence fight against zombies, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. Note that some methods will utilize the forced ground attack button, which is left alt by default. You can also use these with the stomp attack we learned in the last video, but to a lesser effect compared to using a weapon. Method 1. Waiting outside of lunge range. This is where you simply stand far enough away from the fence to avoid the lunge attack altogether and only move in to smash their head when they're close enough. This is safer to perform with longer ranged weapons because if you're just a little bit off, a lunge attack can still hit you. Try to stand roughly 2.5 tiles away from the fence if you're using this method, and retreat as necessary. This is a somewhat quick method that can help thin out hordes quickly with melee and grants better awareness than the method coming up, but can still be dangerous if you're not careful. Especially with shorter weapons, and remember to check behind you. Method 2. Putting your back into it. This method is one that I personally use for smaller groups of zombies. This is where you put your back to the fence that the zombie is crawling over. As of now, the only tile that is affected by the lunge are the ones that the zombies crawl to, not the one that they land on. This allows for quicker kills, as you don't wait for the zombies to crawl after you since you're on their heads the second that they crawl over the fence. This is best used when you have the zombies in a relatively manageable number. With that being said, it is extremely risky if they start crawling over the fences just to the side of the one that you're putting your back towards. This requires even better judgment to use effectively and knowing when to retreat. Method 3. More fence. This is one of the safest ways to fence fight, but requires some preparation in the form of carpentry or specific pieces of furniture that you can pick up using the move furniture options. This is on the left hand side of your screen, represented by the nightstand. What you do with the furniture / fence is to leave a 1-tile gap between them to trap the zombies in and smash their heads in, as you utilize the protection of another fence to safely dispose of them with little to no risk of being injured by a lunge. This can also be referred to as a kill box method. This requires a lot more preparation and resources. Key things being that you'll need an axe, disassembly of furniture, some carpentry levels, and the most important resource being time. This is the safest method to use once it's all set up, and dare I say one of the best defenses. That hurts. These methods also apply to windows. But with windows, you can place or build a piece of furniture behind the window to delay zombie attacks further by having them crawl over it before they can do any sort of damage to you. As a bonus, they are also vulnerable in this state. On the topic of furniture, you can move most pre-existing pieces around to block off zombie pathing and delay them to make an escape or prepare for a last stand if needed. Having furniture that occupies 2 tiles and rotates is also an effective way to make some sort of an airlock system or emergency barrier. Just make sure to check that it's zombie-proof by trying to walk through it yourself. If you can walk through it, so can they. With that being said, any sort of furniture or piece of furniture placed in front of a window won't count as solid if you or a zombie has already crawled over it. Keep that in mind if you're barricading the second floor of a building with this function. As an added bonus, here's a demonstration of a couple of player-built obstacles that the zombies can climb over in a much more extreme setting. While the wall frames seem just about invincible compared to the regular fence to build and costs 1 nail less, just about every player-built construct will break if there are crawler zombies left unchecked. If you still build regular fences even after this demonstration, you're a real one and I respect the aesthetic choice. Now that we're even more confident in combat with a new technique under the belt, you must not forget that you are playing as a human and very much have needs to fulfill. We'll go over some tips for procuring goods or a new property should you need either of those things. Use everything you've learned about combat here to make this neighborhood just a bit safer to walk around in. Now that we've made it to another house, before we go in, there's a few things you should do to make your house visit just that much safer. First, you should do a quick look around the sides of the building. If you see one zombie, assume that there's a group not too far from them and take them out or lure them away using the corralling method discussed near the end of the last video for retreating. Now that they're taken care of, we take a quick peek through the entrances to check for the safest way in. Sometimes doors will also have a window to peek through to make it easier. If the coast is clear, go ahead and try every window or door to see if they'll open by pressing E. If you get lucky and manage to open a window, you can hold down the E key to quickly go through it. If you're unlucky, however, you can break down a door or smash a window. But if you do smash a window, you'll need to remove the broken glass before climbing through, or... Whoops. I know you're bleeding, Greg, but we'll take care of that in a second here. Once you make your way inside, be sure to look at and listen to doors closely before opening them, as they'll make noise and shake slightly if there's a zombie hitting it. You can force them to bang on the doors by pushing on some doors in the building, simply zooming around like a cat at 3 AM, sneaking and whispering, which is the shout button while in sneak mode, or shouting if you're more confident with your ability to handle potential larger groups of zombies. If you don't hear the zombie bongos, you still want to be cautious and listen carefully. Sometimes you'll be able to hear a zombie breathing. As a general rule of thumb, be in combat stance and ready to back off the second you open a door, just to be safe. Whether you're looting or looking for a new property to move into, this little checklist should help you do so in a safer manner. Now, if you manage to come across a backpack or any other sort of bag, they'll have their own separate inventory tab. If they're equipped to your back or hands, they'll be under your main inventory window. If they're on the ground next to you, they'll be in the loot window as a separate container that you can select. Oh right, Greg, bleeding, yeah. In the event you get injured like poor Greg here, you can open up the health panel by clicking on the heart icon on the left or by pressing H. From here you can check any injuries that your character sustains. If there's an item in your vicinity that you can use to treat your wounds, right-clicking in the health panel brings up a context menu that lets you use applicable treatments. This concludes this section of Onion's Art of War Against the Undead, but like the last video, here are some other quick tidbits of advice to help you survive another day. You can use cars and wrecks to help split up a horde that you're fighting against. If you're kiting a horde and need to hop a low fence, try your best to walk to the fence and hop over by pressing the E key. Jogging or sprinting towards the fence will make your character automatically vault over the fence, but you'll risk injuring yourself from tripping. Use this at your own risk. If a place you're clearing out has a lot of trees around it, utilize the shout button to draw zombies out of the trees. It's not nearly as insanely strong as the in-game tutorial would suggest, and it is actually quite useful, especially if you're looking to herd zombies away from a loot area. Unless you're running with a death trait, pay attention to audio cues. Any doors, barricades, furniture, or player-built walls that are under attack by zombies will sound different if they're on the verge of breaking, indicated by a much more intense banging sound. If you hear a zombie breaking in the door or window of a place you're currently looting after clearing the outside, assume there's a group that follows and retreat to an easier place to fight. Try not to hug corners. Curve out and around them when you can. Since you can't see what's on the second floor when you're going upstairs, only go up when you feel confident that the stairway is cleared enough, or jog to at least shove zombies away. In the next video, I'll be covering crowd control, the use of fire, strength, fitness, and nimble stats. Until next time, friend. Now go tell the Homeowners Association that your guard gnome is here to stay, grab all the Super Bowl snacks, and put all you've learned up until now to the test. Leave a comment, like, dislike, subscribe, or don't if you're still on the fence about it. Either way, I hope you have a wonderful day.